everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 21 of Spy Family, and I'm really excited. The last several episodes, as I've said in the other reactions, have been really good, hilarious, and really funny, and we got a little hint of the lady with gray hair in the last episode, so I'm feeling like, okay, we've got, episodes 21, 22, 23, 24, so we've got 5 episodes left for this season. Maybe we'll get to see more with her. Just maybe. So I'm really excited about that. But I have a couple comments before we start. Not very many. I've been reading everybody's comments. They've been really great. But lots of stuff to think about in terms of like Anya and Damien's relationship, if she's a villainess or not, about parenting, about Damien's relationship with his brother, lots of things, right? So there's definitely things to think about going into these last several episodes. But Ashley Penn, you cracked me up when you were like, Daybreak is the Twilight off of Wish. I laughed so hard at that. I was like, oh my God, he is. He's like the discount Twilight. But also, several of you were like, I kind of want him to be like a regular antagonist for Twilight because Loid's not used to this level of insanity. And so he just doesn't know how to handle a spy like Daybreak. So you almost want him to stick around and be like a recurring character. Maybe that will be the case. I don't know. The comedy was gold with him. So I would really I'd opt for him to come back, even if it's just like a brief cameo. They have to like infiltrate a jail and Daybreak is there. It'd be perfect, right? And the other comment I had was from Chloe NG that talked about Demetrius, who is Damien's brother, that he is technically already an Imperial Scholar because he had the big flowing cape and he has at least 8 stella that we know of. So I'm like, So I feel like that gives a lot more motivation for Damien's character because Damien is, wanting to become an Imperial Scholar himself. Damien's logic is probably, okay, well, my brother is an Imperial Scholar. He has my father's attention and respect. So if I'm an Imperial Scholar, I will get the same thing. The question is, will he or not? And I feel for Damien's character. I root for him. I do. And I want him and Anya to like grow up and be in school together, and then all these tsundere, like fun romantic hijinks that could happen. So we'll see. But yeah, those comments were great. I had actually several comments from the last several episodes that I know I commented back to you all, and they were really, really a lot of fun. So we'll see. But I'm really excited. We have 5 episodes left of this season. I'm curious how if we're going to build up like an arc. This would be around the time if you're going to start a final arc for the season, probably be about the time for it. So we'll see if that ends up happening or not. But in any case, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in this week's episode of Spy Family. I hope you all are too. So we're not going to waste any more time though. We are going to start episode 21 of Spy Family. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh no. I didn't know what to expect out of Fiona. I did not know what to expect out of Fiona's character in this series. I had in my mind, oh my gosh, this episode, what a kink. What a kink in the situation. Oh, I should have seen this coming, but I didn't. No, I thought that Fiona's character was going to be, I figured she was a spy. I thought maybe she was sent in to help with the situation, like to be like Loid's sister or something, right? Because her name's Fiona, so it's like Fiona Forger, but her name's Fiona Frost, of course. It's literally Snow White and Rose Red, right? The 2 sisters, right? There's Snow White in the classic fairy tale, and she has a sister that's Rose Red. And it makes sense because you have your Briar, like the roses, and you have Fiona Frost, like the snow. So it's like a play on that, right? And so I thought that she was going to come in as a spy and be like, oh, Loid, I'll help you out by being I'm your sister, remember, or your cousin, or like, I thought she'd be a relative. And I thought it'd be kind of like a play on Yuri, and Yuri being like, oh, well, I'm mad at Loid because he's like stolen my sister away. She's like the opposite, just like Yuri, saying, no, Loid, you don't need to be with her. I should be the wife in this scenario. It should have been me. And I could do a much better job than she could. And honestly, I'm so torn because usually I'm a sucker for like the unrequited love. I'm a sucker for like unrequited love situations where I feel empathy for the person who like loves someone and doesn't get that feeling in return. I feel that. And so there's a part of me that's like, oh, Fiona, I feel bad for you, girl, because I don't think Loid's returning your gestures anytime soon, right? And that's been the one saving grace about the show, I guess, in hindsight, is that Loid doesn't really, he's like, conceal, don't feel. It's like, let it go, She's literally Elsa. He doesn't show emotions. He doesn't let on that. I don't think, the funny thing about this series so far, and I think the one thing that saves it, is Yor does not romantically see herself with Loid. That's like Loid and Yor don't romantically see each other together in that context. They don't have those feelings for one another. It's pretty platonic, it seems, at this point, where Yor just wants to keep being the good housewife and keep doing her job so she can keep doing her job. So that's the only reason she's really in it. She's not fallen head over heels for Loid at all. In fact, most of her thoughts don't really fall on Loid that way. That's kind of why it's perfect between the two of them. And Loid, he's so focused on the mission and he knows he can't feel like any feelings for anybody right now because of the mission. So I honestly think at this point, I do think Loid in the back of his mind would like to be able to live a normal life and have the chance to have a family like what he's pretending to have here. I think Loid in the back of his mind would like to have a wife and kids and the normal life. I think that's what he wants at the end of the day. And so he's using that to fuel his motivation with this mission of, oh yes, we need to foster peace between Westalis and Ostinia so that we can have the chance to do that. But I don't think he feels anything romantically for Yor. But in the same vein, he does not feel anything romantically towards Fiona either, and does not know that Fiona loves him. And Fiona, oh girl, that's not good. It's not going to end well. I just have this feeling that there's going to be a plot point. It's setting things up, right? It's going to be that trope. It's going to be the plot point where she tries to get closer to Loid and win him over. And the question is going to be, and maybe that's what it's setting up for the rest of the season, the question is going to be, is Yor going to realize that she does like Loid more than just for the mission? Maybe that's going to be step one at the end of the season, is does Yor fancy Loid more than she... Because right now they really haven't talked about it, right? They've gone like on a dinner date, but that was just... They haven't really discussed any feelings towards one another, and they haven't really expressed that, which has been fine so far this season. But now that Fiona's come in with her ways, I'm like, oh no, she's going to like try to throw a kink into this. And so I don't know. I'm like, on the one hand, I feel bad for Fiona because I'm like, she can't help loving Loid. Who wouldn't love Loid? Especially like her getting like one-on-one training with him and him being as sexy as he is. Girl, I don't blame you for falling in love with Loid. I'm amazed that Yor hasn't. But it sucks so much because it's like, no, Yor is doing a fine job. That's not the problem. I love that she's blaming like everything, every little thing going wrong is Yor not doing her job right. And it's like, yeah, sure, if Yor was doing a better job cooking, then maybe Loid would have less stress to worry about with that. But I'm fully expecting Fiona to come in like as the maid or something and like cook for them. That would be great. But honestly, I just feel like what's going to happen is that Nightfall, I feel like what's going to happen is that she is going to try to bust things up and get in the way. Sylvia's not down for it, right? Sylvia is like, do not let this become a hindrance, like your mission with him become a hindrance. I wonder if Sylvia knows if Fiona has a crush on Loid, because Sylvia clearly doesn't. I think there's an age gap there, and Sylvia's just like, no. I think, and Sylvia's sticking up for the plan for Operation Strix. She's like, yeah, it was a long-term plan anyway. Was the 8-month plan a long-term plan anyway? And she's like, if I had been available when the mission started, I would have been the wife. I'm like, I don't think that would have worked well at all. I don't think Anya and her would have gelled good at all, because she doesn't seem to like have any maternal instincts to her. And so I feel like she says, Sylvia's like, no, we can't replace you with Yor because Eden will find it suspicious if he suddenly remarries. Yeah, that won't be good. And she's like, and it has advantages because she's a local. I feel like Sylvia's like, I think Sylvia knows that Fiona likes Loid. I feel like she knows, or she suspects that she wants to, because Sylvia seems like a pretty on the ball person. Like, she's very perceptive. But maybe she's thinking that because Fiona's such a good spy that she will not let that get in the way, right? And so maybe Sylvia ends up having to break it up. I don't know. But Fiona is very cold. She is very cold and brazen. And I love these guys are like, yikes, did you hear that? She'd even try to swipe Twilight's glory to get ahead. They think that she's trying to steal the mission from Twilight and get all the credit. She's trying to like play house with Loid because she likes him. And it's like, oh no. She's like, and Nightfall, of course her name is Nightfall, right? The woman has ambitions. Oh my god. I love she is the polar opposite of Daybreak. Like, she's a different kind of threat to Loid, right? Because she's going to threaten to like throw a kink in their family. And I do love the egg just getting like sizzled around the plate. I feel bad for Yor, right? I feel bad for Yor because Yor is trying, right? She is trying. She just can't help it. And she's making progress. It's just she feels inadequate. And then here comes Fiona, who's this pretty woman. But honestly, the funny thing about it is that Yor's like, wow, she's like so pretty. And then Fiona looks at Yor and she's like, she's flawless. And it's like, God, like they both see each other as being beautiful women. Right? And then Loid is out with Anya and the dog, and Fiona doesn't see why that's necessary for the mission. So Fiona does not understand like the whole thing with parenting and like that this is an actual child that you're dealing with, not just a toy or something. There's an actual child involved in this mission. And she gives Yor such a hard time. She's like, she doesn't seem to have any flaws in her appearance. And meanwhile, and the thing of it is, the thing that I love about Yor in this is Yor isn't jealous of Fiona at all. Now she may develop a jealousy towards her if she starts to have feelings towards Loid too. But right now, see, my thing is, I think that they're setting up like a whole big miscommunication thing that's going to happen because Yor doesn't have any romantic feelings towards Loid right now. She's just concerned about her mission and playing wife to fulfill that, right? To do her part. And she thinks that Loid is an actual dad who's looking for an actual wife. And she's like, I'm not doing my role, and he's trusting me and giving me a place to stay and all this, all these benefits that I wouldn't have otherwise. And so she feels obligated. I feel like what's going to happen is she's going to feel like Fiona's going to try to outdo her and everything. And Yor's going to feel inadequate and feel like, oh, well, then why am I here? And I feel like at some point, Loid is going to have to face a decision of, do I let Fiona step in and be the wife, or do I keep Yor? And I think I don't know, because I'm going to feel, if he chooses Fiona, I'm going to feel really bad, but he doesn't seem to like Fiona, and he seems to want to keep Yor around, and Fiona is convinced that his smile is fake, that it's just an act. And a part of me is like, yeah, it is, but then I'm waiting for that genuine smile to come out and her to be like, no, he really does like her or something like that. I don't know. But I feel like it's going to be this big miscommunication, or the show is going to make us think that Yor is jealous of her, and that's not the case. Because right now, Yor's not jealous of her at all. Yor is just like, oh, why are you here? What's going on? She's more concerned about doing her part than she is thinking about Fiona possibly trying to have an affair with Loid. She's not even concerned about that. She's more nervous about putting on a good appearance as a housewife because Fiona's their first guest other than Yuri and Frankie. And she's like, to take care of... And I love that Fiona's literally talking about offing her. Fiona's talking about literally offing Yor and getting rid of her. And I'm like, no! So on the one hand, I feel for Fiona. I do. Girl, I'd be in your shoes. I would have the biggest crush on Loid, especially if we were working together. I understand, but I don't want you to be a homewrecker and ruin this with Yor, damn it. I'm so torn about her character. What I need to have happen is that she figures out, she's like, it would look too suspicious for me to, what I feel should happen is that Fiona's going to realize it's too suspicious for me to keep coming over just as a colleague of Loid's. That's going to be too weird because coming over once to give back the magnifying glass is one thing. Coming over multiple times doesn't quite make sense. So what I would love to happen is for her to find out about Yuri and for her to like try to date Yuri so she could use that excuse to come to the house and try to take Yor's position. But it ends up backfiring and she falls in love with Yuri. My crack ship, because her reaction to Loid is the exact same reaction Yuri has to Yor. They have the heart eyes and it's the same damn reaction. So I'm like, no, I would love, for Fiona to realize, oh, maybe you could get with Yuri, and that's another way we'll solve world peace is for like Yuri and Frost. And Yuri means snow, so, or is it Yuki? What does Yuri mean in Japanese? I want to look this up. Yuri, does it mean? I want to look it up. What it means. Yuri means lily. It means lily, or it's connected to rose and connected to love. Of course it is, because rose, Yor, briar, Yuri, briar. Okay, yep, that makes sense. It's connected to lilies. Well, there's white lilies, so Fiona could be along with that, right? Right. I want to ship her and Yuri so that she'll leave Loid alone. That's all I want to do, right? Oh my gosh. But I just feel bad. And she tries to literally talk Yor out of being in the relationship. But I like this saying like, oh, well, I think it's wonderful Anya has so much energy. Like, it's great. Like, Yor answers these questions really well for like being a mom. And Fiona's like, oh, well, she actually thinks that she's a child's mom. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the attitude she needs to have with her. And Fiona just is not impressed with that. And when she said that I hear Dr. Forger complaining that at work that his wife always, that was an unnecessary blow. You did not need to do that. I was okay with Fiona until she said that. I was like, Yor already has a hard enough time with her self-esteem. Like, and you throw that in there. And then at first I thought she didn't hear, but she did. And she just imagines Loid complaining about her. And Loid smooths things over. I've also noticed Loid's hair is getting like really shaggy. He's letting it grow out. It's a lot shaggier than it has been. And I like that Loid's like, why is she here? And they have this thing where they talk to one another and their lips keep moving, and even though they're not saying, I guess they're trying to say like, if they were like, hello, doctor, like, what are you doing right now? And they're trying to make their lips move in different ways. And I like that Loid just looks kind of confused by her throughout all of this. He's like, what are you doing? And I like that Anya's like, is she a bad spy? What is she? Like, Anya's just trying to like figure her out. And then, I love you. I love you. Oh my God. She literally like, and the way that the thing shakes, the camera shakes, it reminds me of an Ouran High School Host Club. What's her name? It's not Regina, but it's the girl, she like would rise up. Oh, I gotta look up her name now, but she would like rise up out of the ground. And she would like rise up out of the ground. And then, what is her name? Ringay. It was like Ringay, where she'd rise up out of the ground and be like, ah ha ha. That's like literally the same movement that we see with Fiona. And she goes through this whole scenario, and Anya's like, oh no. Anya's just blinded by how much she's thought about this. Wove. Where he's like, oh, Nightfall, you served the best food. And she like has the apron and everything, doing all the laundry. And it's all his white shirts. She just imagines him in the white shirt over and over again. Don't blame her. Again, I don't blame her. And it all seems so innocent, right? She keeps like hanging up his white shirts. She makes money for him. Like, girl is a girl boss. She makes money. She buys her own diamond rings. And then she's like, oh, I researched what kind of weapons and their name and age and how many gray hairs they'll have on our next mission. And he's like, you're amazing, Nightfall. And then he's like, you're so perfect. Who needs that dumb woman any longer? And then it just shows Yor running off screen. He's like, to attain world peace, I should marry you. And then she's like, I'm all yours. And not just for the mission. Like, she is all in on this. And I love that she just imagines like their wedding and everything. Her ambition was to become, she's got ambitions, and her ambition was to become Twilight's bride. Oh my God. And Anya's just like, oh shit, no. She's like, I'd give him support he needed on missions and at home. And Anya's like, oh hell no. Our honeymoon would be on some tropical island. And I like that Loid's like, what is she thinking? And Nora's like, I'll pour some coffee. I do like, though, that Loid, throughout all this, has really not shown any attachment towards Yor or anybody else, right? Loid has been very much like for the mission and nothing else. So that does make me feel better that I think he's going to be pretty... I think he's eventually going to tell Fiona, like, look, I don't feel that way about you, so you need to not let your emotions compromise you or move on. I feel like eventually her emotions are going to come out, and Loid's going to be like, I feel like Loid's going to be like, no, I don't feel that way about you. We're work partners, but that's it. And then she's going to be like, oh, but, and then get reassigned. Or at least I hope so, because I'm like, she needs to find somebody else to like, because I want her to leave Loid and Yor alone. And poor Anya, she's just imagining, like, again, she has the whip and the suit and everything. She's like, if I were her mother, I would manage her schedule by the minute. And she has like the army suit on. I'm like, her and Yuri. She's got this like dominating attitude that's like no nonsense. Her and Yuri would get along great. I'm just saying, they could be a match made in heaven, and it would get Yuri to move on from his sister love to love with another woman. See, I think it could be fine. And I feel like Yuri would be great for Fiona, because Yuri, he's like really resourceful, super smart, a good looking guy. She could get all that with Yuri. I'm supporting this crack ship until they meet. I want them to meet. But Anya is like very much like, no, Team Yor. Like, no, I want my mom. And she's more like a mom. And he's like, and Loid is like, hey, Anya, go play with Bond. We're having like an adult conversation. And Anya is trying her best. I feel like the one saving grace in all of this is that Anya is going to be like, no, I don't like you, Fiona. I'm wanting to stay with you. Or I feel like Anya is going to be the glue holding it together. I just love when she hissed at her. She was like, I know. It was so freaking good. And then Yor's like, I'm going to do everything that I can to be like a good wife to you. And Loid's like, sure. And I like that Fiona's like, you should be teaching the girl not to spill her cocoa at all. It's like, girl, leave her alone. And he's like, you're already working hard enough, Yor. That's why Anya's fond of you. And he has like the little blush. And of course, Yor's like, oh, okay. And this is dangerous, right? This is dangerous because it very well could be fake. It could be that Loid is giving a fake smile to her to tide her over, right? Very well likely, right? And Yor's taking it as sincere. I think at the end of the day, though, Yor would be okay with it, because if he was explaining, I feel like at the end of the day, if something happens in this show and she finds out that Loid was putting this all together for the sake of a mission, I feel she'd be okay with that, because she was basically in this whole thing for the sake of a mission as well, right? The question is going to be if she's going to catch feelings or not with him. As of right now, I think he could admit to her that it was all for a mission to protect the country, and she'd be okay with it. I think she'd accept the fact if he's like, I'm sorry, I've been fake with you. And she's like, no, you were doing it for a mission. I was doing this for a mission. I've been hiding secrets from you. You're hiding secrets. I feel like Yor would be very reasonable about it, right? Whereas Fiona's like head over heels, like just the love has corrupted her, right? I feel like that wouldn't be the case with Yor. I think she would handle it different. And she's like, I'll do my best. And he's like, you already are doing your best. And Fiona's like his fake smile. And then we cut back to them like training. And he's like, a spy must never let their true feelings show. Well, she's doing a great job of doing that. Yeah. And he's like, kill any emotions and don't let your guard down. And I mean, I don't blame her for like falling for him, because he's like, great. She's like, I'll never let this poker face crack even the slightest. I feel like she's going to by the end of this season. She's going to let it crack. And I feel like Loid's going to be like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, I love he says, you don't need to go that far. I feel like even then Loid's like, you know, it's just to be safe as a spy and for the mission. You don't have to go crazy. I feel like Loid's going to be like, whoa, tone it down, Fiona. And then she like knows all of his personas. Lionel, Lawrence, who works in the black market, Robert, the secretary. She's like, I've seen various versions of Twilight over the years. Like, girl has been a stage 5 clinger for a while. What a perfectly executed fake smile. Yeah. And the subtle truth that bleeds through it. That it's just for the mission. But there's a moment there where his hands and stuff and his eyes kind of soften where she's like, and she feels like maybe he is enjoying this mission a bit much. And maybe it is a little bit more than just a mission. Maybe, I guess that's what she's getting at there, and that's why she leaves. And I like that. Loid's being a gentleman, right? He's, again, there's nothing wrong with him going after her in the rain because he's like, he wants to establish, like, why'd you come here? Like, what's going on, right? Because she did just show up out of the blue, say some cryptic stuff about her taking Yor's place, and he's like, what the hell? And then she left. And so I don't blame Loid for going after her, and he's a gentleman, so he brings the thing. And then she says that Handler wants them to go on a mission together. And Loid's like, well, you could have let off with that. He's like, you should have started out with that information first, right? And I do love that she, like, looks at him and it's beautifully animated. And she just has that look on her face like, you don't see me as anything but another spy, right? And when her crying like that, and Loid's just like, Nightfall? Yes? Hello? And of course she's like looking up, she's like, I'm glad it's raining right now. It's like it's wiping her tears away. Because yeah, I feel like she realizes at this moment that right now he doesn't see her as anything but another fellow spy. And she's like, I'll change that. And it's like, no, please don't. And she's like, I'll conceal these feelings until the end. And she tells him she's going to tell him the details in the hospital. She's like, because we're spies. Because that's what my beloved Twilight taught me. And I feel bad for her. She's like, when this Cold War is over, she's like, I'm going to declare my love. And it's like, ooh. She's like, but as she's going off in the rain, I don't care if we're a fake couple. I just want to stay by his side. And see, that's interesting because she says, I don't care if it's real or not. I just want to be there for him. So I think she knows that it's it's a situation of very unrequited love, that he does not feel the same way for her, and that he doesn't feel the same way for her, and she knows it. She still loves him, right? But she's like, I feel like she feels conflicted because she knows that he doesn't love her back, but she still loves him, and she's going to keep trying to be with him even if it's not real. And it's like, it's not unlike what Yor is doing with him, but Yor doesn't love Loid. She's just playing the part, right? You've lost your edge due to playing house for so long. Don't hold me back. And she says, the only one suited to be your wife is me. And I don't think that's true. I'm like, oh, Fiona girl, no, that's not true. That's just your opinion, girl. But that's so hard to say. I mean, you gotta let him have some say in it. So yeah, I feel like it'd be different if Loid and them knew that Yor was an assassin, but what are we gonna do with that, right? So I'm glad that we finally get Fiona introduced proper, but oh my gosh, what do we do with her? Oh, I'm like, you are such a homewrecker. Please don't be a homewrecker. I'm like, no. I'm just waiting for the ball to finally drop and for Loid to be like, because I don't think Loid loves Fiona. I don't think he likes her that way. And I feel like if she confessed, he'd be like, I don't, but sorry. I feel like it would just all come crashing down and she'd be emotionally compromised, which is why I'd like for her to be with Yuri. That'd be great. I feel so bad though. Damn it. But they're gonna be on a mission together, so whatever. So then we cut to this post-credit episode. This post-credit episode, oh my god, where Loid tells Anya, which she doesn't listen very well to him, the first fit of jealousy. Fitting that we have an episode about jealousy, where we have Fiona jealous of Yor. Yor's not really jealous of anybody, but she feels inadequate. But we have Fiona jealous of Yor, and then we have Bond jealous of the penguin that has Anya's attention. The Army Cartography Corps Bear Squad. I love that it's an elephant, a penguin, a rabbit, and a bear there, and it's the Cartography Squad. That rabbit looks like a Sonic the Hedgehog character at some point. It's funny. And then I love they're like, Anya, you need to brush your teeth and go to bed. Loid's like, quit watching this grim cartoon. It's dangerous to survey the enemy base. And then like Anya's like, that polar bear looks like you, Bond. Like she's not doing what she's told. Peggy's been shot, Peggy the penguin. I'm like, they show an actual bullet hole in her neck and it's like bleeding. What the hell? This series is very much a grim cartoon show for little kids. Like, she's got the blood dripping out of her mouth. She's like, promise me you'll create a peaceful world we always dreamed of. Oh my God. And of course, it's funny that the penguin and the polar bear in this are lovers, supposedly. And then you have Bond and the penguin in the end, right? Calling the truce, which is funny because I feel like you have Yor and Loid on opposite sides of the spectrum coming together to form a truce if it were that simple. Right? Oh my God. And I like that Loid's method of getting Anya is just picking her up by the scruff of her neck like a damn cat. I'm like, Loid, parenting 101. He's like, I told you to go to bed. What in the world's going on in this grim cartoon? She's like, penguin. And then she manages to sleep with the penguin after he tucks her in. It's so cute. I do love that little shot of her like tucked in with the penguin. It's adorable. And of course, Bond gets jealous. I have had dolls torn up by my dogs, just like poor Penguin. Again, Loid with that damn white t-shirt. But my penguin's dead. And then, yeah, Agent Penguin, who did this to you? And Loid's like, well, we can narrow it down. Penguin bad and stole Anya. So Bond is very much like Fiona, just thinking that the others stole Anya and stole Loid from them. I love that Loid stops Anya from attacking Bond, but she says, I hate you. Oh, for hurting her penguin. And poor Bond, he's like, no, Borf. And so your offers to try and fix things does not make it any better. She just makes it worse. I figured Yor would be able to sew because she probably mended the clothes for her and Yuri, but apparently that's not the case. Maybe Yuri was the one that sewed. And I love that Loid just looks at it like, I'm not surprised. I just love it. But it makes sense though too with a needle. Yor would be better at destroying things than fixing them. Because she's used to assassinating with the needles, not mending things. Oh no. And Lloyd's like, well, I'll buy you a new one. And Anya's like, no, this one is important because you gave it to me. She's like, you got it for me, Papa. And he's like, okay, then I'll fix them up. So go eat and maybe do some homework. I love the little head pats where he's like, come on. He's like, okay, I get this stuffed penguin was important to you. And I love the idea of him like sewing it up because of course he's good at sewing. And Yor's just sitting there like praying, being like, I hope this works. And then Bond goes to get the peanuts to give to her. And Lloyd's like, what are you doing? And so then Anya, like, her crying as she's like trying to do her homework, but she can't like finish it. And he's like, it's all better. And he has like all the scars and stitches. She's like, he kind of looks kind of Frankenstein-y. And I love how when Loid phrases it this way, he like, cause he knows that, and he kind of stutters. He's like, he knows that she watches all of like the shows about Bond Man and the military, like those little kid shows, which is kind of, if you think about it, like the kid shows being about military exercises and stuff like that, it kind of seems fitting. Like if you go back to like World War II, there were lots of different, and a lot of them were propaganda, but there were lots of cartoon shows about the war and stuff to like, you know, Donald Duck going in the army and stuff because they were at war and it was something that the kids would understand at the time. And so it's interesting that those are the shows that are focused on for like kids programming in the country in this show right now. But I love when Lloyd's like, scars are Medal of Honors for soldiers. And he like almost like stumbles there a little bit. He's like, Agent Penguin suffered honorable injuries in battle. Like he says it so straight faced, but being such a dad thing to say. And Anya being like, oh, medals. His scars are nothing to be ashamed of. And then she gets brought the peanuts. She's like, evil Bond! But it's, yeah, the salty flavored peanuts. And Loid is like, I think that he wants you to forgive him. He's like, do you remember what Bond Man said? Yesterday's enemy is today's ally. And that's just, I feel like Loid telling her that phrase coming from the show is going to come back later. I feel like that's going to be the case. Like maybe Anya will say that to Yuri or something. If Yuri tries to attack Loid, she'll be like, no, yesterday's enemies are today's ally. Or if maybe Fiona needs to like team up with Yor for something or something like that, like in the future of the series. I feel like that phrase, yesterday's enemy is today's ally, is going to come back in this series one way or another, right? I feel like it's going to come back one way or another, and then she makes like a truce happen with Bond and the penguin. It's so cute on behalf of the Peanuts. And then I love that Lloyd's like, if only peace between the East and West were this simple. Yeah. And I feel like that fake smile, like that's actually genuine, where he's looking down at her like, I wish it were this easy. This episode, oh my gosh, I'm just like, Fiona. Okay. So what do we do with her? Oh my gosh. She's going to cause a bunch of trouble, bunch of drama. And the only thing I can hope is that this series handles the miscommunication and drama the best that it can. Because if there's one thing I hate in a show, it's miscommunication. I'm like, get that drama out of here. And my crack ship lives on, so I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, confirming, deconfirming theories about Fiona. Please no spoilers or hints or clues. I want to be surprised by the rest of the season. Please spoiler tag if you're going to talk about any of that down below. But otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 22 of Spy Family. Bye.